Hi and welcome to DEPHEMEREMBER, your daily ephemera inspiration in December. Today it's day 20 of this December daily series, and our DEPHEMEREMBER prompt list says frost flower and number or sentiment. So let's create a beautiful junk journal ephemera using basic supplies. I would like to create a journaling card today using these Tim Holtz die cuts. I have them relatively new and I was really excited to try this idea out. So, of course, if you don't have die cuts in this shape, you can use some scrapbooking paper and just cut some flower shapes out with some scissors. That would also work. I have chosen a black paper here to cut the die cuts out because I want to have the feeling of a wintry night on my journaling card later. And now I'm trying to get some structure to my flower petals here by putting some embossing powder to the edges. For this, I'm just pressing a little area of the single pieces that I have here to my ink pad. That's an embossing ink pad, of course. And then I'm just dipping my flower die cut into the embossing powder. I'm doing that directly in this little container. I think that's the easiest way. And I'm trying to get my embossing powder really irregular to those different petal thingies. On some of them I've put a little bit more, and on this one, for example, only to the very edge of these petals, so that I get a really irregular look later. So I have to say, because of the fact that I have these die cuts relatively new, I've never tried this out before. I made this embossing thingy on normal flowers, but these will be layered in the end, and I've never done that before, so that was a really cool experience for me to try that out. So now, of course, we have to melt this embossing powder. For this, it helps a lot if you have this little tool. The English word, is it pliers? I don't know. You see what it is. To hold the flowers in place while you are heating them so that you don't burn your fingers, and you want to melt all of this embossing powder, of course, and you will get really close to the paper, so please make sure that you don't burn your fingers. In this stage the flowers look not so frosty, but please believe me, later on they will get a really cool look with some other mediums that I want to put on top. But first I've decided that I want to put them together like they are meant to put them together. So with this die cut set, you have, of course, many possibilities, many combinations how you can put these flowers together. And I really like this die cut set because there are so different shapes of these flowers, so you can play around and make your own variations and new variations with every new project that you create. And here I have this foam pad underneath, and this dotting tool I can use to make those flowers a little bit more dimensional. I'm just pressing this into the middle of the paper, turning it in such circular movements so that the petals come up a little bit. Of course, when you have that and you put that into your journal later, it will be flattened out a little bit, but you can still see the different layers of this little flowers here. So I'm doing that with all of my little thingies there, and in this stage I also try to find out the best arrangement of the single pieces, and I've just put them together so that I can remember later how I want to glue them. And here you can also decide which amount of embossing powder you would like to have on each flower. So you can, if you have made these variations of embossing before, then now you can combine them like you want them. And when this is finished, you can just glue those together. I've just used some bookbinders glue, just put a tiny bit of glue into the middle of this first layer, then put the second layer on top, place it where you want it, wait a little bit, and then go on until you have built the whole flower here. And I can use this time while I'm gluing this to explain you that this December Daily series is a collaboration with 49 Dragonflies. So yeah, we have thought about some special things for you. So please make sure that you check out Barbara's channel today as well. Because yeah, this December Daily series is not only one video per day for you, but it's 2 videos, one on my channel and one on Barbara's channel. So you can find a video on her channel today as well. And you can check out what idea she had on today's prompt. I'm really excited what she has created, and yeah, perhaps you want to see a different idea and yeah, another inspiration for your own junk journal creations. Here I'm showing you the next letter for my giveaway. If you never heard about this giveaway, please check out the info box. Every information that you need to enter is down below. So here we come to the point of frost, real frost on my flowers. I'm using this, how is that called? These Perfect Pearls powders. And as you can see, I'm not so familiar how to use those. So first I tried to bring them really carefully with a dry paintbrush to my flowers, but that was not so successful because that was too light for me and not enough blue. I have those Perfect Pearls powders also new in my stash. They were gifted to me the other day, and during this December Daily series I tried to use those, I think for the first time, and I had to figure out how to do that. So if you're new to Perfect Pearls, you need an embossing ink pad or something sticky to apply to the areas where you want to have the Perfect Pearls powder, and then you can add the powder. So as you can see, if you don't do that, it turns out really light, and compared to the flower where no Perfect Pearls powder is, you nearly can't see any difference. So it's a little bit strange. If you want to have a really light shimmer to your flowers, then I think it's a good idea to use it without any adhesive medium underneath. But yeah, look at this. That looks not so interesting. So I've used my embossing ink pad and tried to get a more extreme effect of this, and you can see this in the first seconds here when I apply it. It's really blue and shiny now, and this looks way more elegant, of course. But I have left this first try with the Perfect Pearls in this video, and I've not cut that out because I want to encourage you to try new things and to try out perhaps also the mediums that you have in your stash and never used before. Perhaps you have the same problem like I have had here, and you don't know how to use the different mediums. I mean, there are so many different things in the craft supplies shops, sorry, and it's sometimes really hard to figure out how to use this stuff. And I want to say, please try that out, and yeah, even if you don't use it like it is meant to use, if you have a beautiful result in the end, be happy and be proud of yourself. So here I'm using my handmade ledger paper as a part of the base for my journaling card. I have shown you this in another video of this December Daily series, how I made this paper. And this is a copy that turned out really blue. I don't know the reason why this turned out blue. If you have seen the video, yeah, I really don't know, but I really like this. And this looks really frosty and wintry. So I've decided to use this paper. I've just cut the areas with this stamping there so that I only have this clean background. I don't want this to be recognizable as a ledger paper. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. This little blue thing on the left side, I wanted to leave. And here I'm deciding in which size I want to have my card. So first I've cut this black base so that I have an imagination of the frame. I want to have this black card as a frame on parts of my whole card. Yeah, you will see in a second what I mean. Then I have teared this paper so that you get the imagination of, yeah, a snowy hill or something like that, really abstract and really randomly. But then I hated this little belly that this paper has there now. First I tried to arrange my flowers to get an imagination, but in a second I will tear this little thingy there as well. In this version it looks a little bit strange. I think it's not so harmonious, even if the flowers look really cool on this background. So I have taken my die cutting plate here to get an imagination where I want to tear this again, and then I came to the idea to just tear it in a relatively straight but also irregular way. You can also use a ruler for tearing this, or of course you can also tear that just by hand and get the shape that you want. To make some snow to the background, I've taken some white gesso, watered down, and then I've splattered this here to my card. And after that I've just dried that with my heat gun. Of course you can also let that air dry, then it has a little, yeah, bit different character in the end, but please decide which way you like better. And I can also recommend to try that out, to make two pieces in the same way. Let one air dry and one you can dry with your heat gun, and then you later on can see which one you like better and which technique you would like to use for future projects. Yeah, so this looks really cool, I think. And here I'm showing you the next letter for my giveaway. As I said, all the informations are down below in the description box, so please check that out if you want to win something really cool. To get a more vintage look to my card, and also to balance this cold feeling a little bit, I'm just distressing this piece of ledger paper a little bit. I think that makes it warm and cold at the same time. For distressing, I've used some Distress Oxide ink Vintage Photo. If you don't have such Distress Oxide inks, you can also use some watercolor for this step, or you could also dip the edges of this paper into some coffee. That would make a really interesting effect as well. And yeah, I think that looks way more cooler and way more interesting now. And now, what can we do now? What am I doing here? Okay, so next I have glued this piece of paper to my base of this card. I've just used a glue stick for this because I don't want to use any wet mediums for this card anymore. If you want to splatter with some water-based mediums, please use some stronger glue for gluing this down. For example, matte medium, Mod Podge, or any other strong glue. But in this case, yeah, it will stay in place just with this glue stick. I'm just making sure that I don't have any bubbles there. And then I'm taking this white watercolor paper, because now I want to make an inner frame to my card. I've just eyeballed this and decided how big I want to have this. Made some marks here to know where I have to cut that. And then I have cut that with my paper trimmer so that I have this smaller card now. And now I want to cut the inner part of this thing out. I'm using this really sharp knife and a ruler, and I'm just cutting on top of my embossing and die cut plate. Of course, you can also use this craft mat as a cutting base, but for me this was at hand, and why not using that? And in this step, when I cut that on this plate, I also thought, why are we destroying our craft mats by cutting on top of them? Why not using this thing? Because this plate gets damaged when you are using it with your die cutting machine, and that's a normal thing, of course. But yeah, I think in the future I will cut way more often on this plate than on my craft mat. But yeah. Please decide that by yourself. It's just a little thing that I've noticed during my process here. I'm trying to get really clear edges of this thing, so make sure that you've cut really into this corner to get a really clear frame. Of course, you could also use a die cut if you have a die cut in the right size and in this rectangle shape. Then I'm just gluing this here to my card. So this also shall look like a really abstract window. So you can imagine that this is a window and you can look outside and see this winter landscape outside. And now I'm trying to find the right arrangement for my flowers. And as you can see, I've had a little struggle with this. I'm arranging them every few seconds and trying to find a nice arrangement. And the problem was that there were too many possibilities for me. I mean, this would look nice in different variations, and I just couldn't decide how I want to do that. So I've decided to first go to the second part of the prompt list that says number or sentiment. So I've decided that I want to use some of that, and I've decided to use a sentiment for this card. This says, ein Ziel ist ein Traum mit Termin. That's German, of course. That means a goal is a goal is a dream with a date. Ein Ziel ist ein Traum mit Termin. Yeah, I think that's the right translation. I'm always struggling while I'm making these voiceovers for these videos, because I always have to change my brain between English and German, and that's not so easy. So if you're interested in these sentiments, so perhaps you are speaking German, then, or you want to have some German sentiments for your junk journal projects, then please check out the info box. There's the link to this item. This comes from my Etsy shop, and it's called Sprüche und Wörter. You can find that at the moment with 30% discount in my Etsy shop. That's a little goodie for you during this December daily series. And yeah, after I have glued the sentiment to its place, I was sure that I want to arrange the flowers like I'm doing it here. I've just glued them with some bookbinders glue so that they hold really strong, and that they stay in place. And here I've glued the bottom layer of these flowers completely, and the rest, of course, I have left like I have glued them before, only in the middle of this little flower pieces. And then I've decided that those flowers look a little bit empty in the middle, so I wanted to add a little highlight to the middle of these flowers. Also to make them look a little bit more realistic, even if that's hard on such an artsy piece like this. So I have taken some relatively normal pearls to put inside of the smaller flowers. For that, I've also used some bookbinders glue and just put a tiny bit of glue into the middle and then press the pearl into the glue so that it can stay there. If you want to imitate this, please make sure that you have a strong glue to glue this, because you want to use this journaling card later, and you want to put that into your journal in a pocket, for example, take it in and out, and you have to make sure that these pearls stay in place really good, so use a strong glue. And for this bigger flower on the bottom, I will use a special thing in a second. I've found that in my stash. I have that relatively long there. That thing comes from my grandmother as well. She has made some really strange things out of wire and pearls. She was this kind of woman who liked really filigrane, relaxing, nearly meditative things, and she had some things that she has not finished, like this thing here. I don't know what this is, what she wanted to use it for, but now I have it. And before I use it, I show you the next letter for the giveaway. It's this one here. As I said, check out the info box to know how to enter this giveaway. And this thing here, now I want to use for the middle part of this biggest flower to make that pop out a little bit and to make it look a little bit different than the other ones. For that, I've just taken my awl and I've poked a hole through this whole card and the flower, of course, so that I had the chance to get this wire through it. And yeah, I've just brought these little things there into the right position so that they are not too much peeking out there. I wanted to have them relatively flat, but visible and touchable at the same time. This relatively sharp wire on the back side I've secured just with a piece of this ledger paper. You can use any scrap that you have or some washi tape to make sure that you don't hurt yourself when you turn the card or touch this little wire thing. And this way the whole thing stays in place as well. Just wait until this is really dry. You can also, yeah, you see I'm rubbing with my fingernail to make sure that this stays in place and the rest can't fall out from the front side. And in the end, of course, we need some golden splatters. I mean, this December daily series, December. Oh, it's so hard. When you say that so often, it's so hard. This December daily series is a collaboration with 49 Dragonflies. And of course, I have to use some gold splatters because she would do it as well. And yeah, it's a good idea because it looks really cool. So I've added some golden splatters here to my card and let that dry. And so we have the finished result, a cute little journaling card, a wintry card that you can use as an ephemera piece in your junk journal. I hope you like that. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we will see tomorrow with another ephemera idea. Please also check out 49 Dragonflies channel today. She has another idea on today's prompt. Please enjoy her video as well. The link is down below in the description box. See